Einen wunderschönen Sonntag hier auf der Austria Comic Con 2023 in Wels. Ein ganz besonderes Panel, das letzte Stargast-Schauspieler-Panel, das wir hier heute auf der Hauptbühne haben. Und dafür hätte ich gerne einen riesen Applaus für den großartigen Graham McTavish.
Thank you. Please.
Graham, it's wonderful. You're here because you were in The Hobbit, in Outlander, in Preacher, and yesterday we talked about John Rambo, which was amazing. And today I would like to continue this tradition and not talk to you about these three humongous things that you did, because there is something else that you have on your resume that I find extremely interesting. And I don't know if many people know that, but you are a very prolific voice actor, and you have voice acted in so many video games that we all know and love. He was the main antagonist in Uncharted 2, Zoran. You were Dante in Dante's Inferno.
Correct.
So,
yes.
And many other things that I cannot read on my iPad because my internet is broken.
No, yeah, I've done a lot of video games, yes. Uncharted, I did the second and third Uncharted. I don't know how many people play video games. I don't play them, you see. I'm useless at video games. I'm the guy that stands in a circle and shoots around his own feet. I'm that bad. But yeah, Uncharted 2, I was Zoran Lazarevic. And in Uncharted 3, I came back as Charlie Cutter, who is a sort of buddy of Drake's in that. And Dante's Inferno. And yeah, I mean, there's loads of games. And Castlevania I did as an animated TV series. I did Hulk versus Thor and Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles and all sorts of stuff. But I love doing voice work. Yeah, I'm doing a couple of things at the moment actually. So,
if I'm correct, if I didn't miss out one, I think the first year you actually started doing voice work in games was 2006. Could that be correct? Where you started
Possibly, I can't remember.
Killzone Liberation, Medieval 2, and Lost Planet Extreme Condition. I think they were the first that popped up for me.
Right.
So how and why did you start voice acting video
Why did
games?
I get into voice acting? Well, I mean, the thing is, acting, you know, people ask you to do things, and you start doing those, and it's like, I seem to have I seem to have a career that involves either being on horseback, carrying a sword, a candle, wearing a cloak, and I didn't design it that way, it's just happened that way. Same with voice acting. I asked to do one, that leads to another, that leads to several more, and you just get a reputation for doing it. One of my dearest friends is Nolan North, who I did Uncharted with, and he just does everything voice related, everything. So yeah, it was an interesting sideline. I mean, it's not my principal source of acting, voice work, but I do enjoy it. Yeah.
When you do voice work for games, do you do motion capture for your characters as well?
Yeah, we did motion capture, which is basically you wear this sort of GIMP suit with little balls on it and you have about 56 cameras that capture every movement that you make. And then they convert that into data, which they then magically make into you running around in a video game. But it's like a sort of combination of theater and film, because when you're performing it in a space not much bigger than this stage, called a volume, and you do everything together like you're in a play. But you just happen to be wearing very, very unattractive clothing that leaves nothing to the imagination. So it's fun, but some people do it a lot. I've done it a little bit. Yeah.
And what I would be interested in is if you compare acting for a movie and for a video game voice work, the physicality of really acting for the camera and just having to convey everything you want to convey via your voice. Do you have a preference, something that you enjoy doing more?
No, I don't have a preference. I mean, it's all really, it all comes from the same place, which is you're telling a story and you're hopefully telling it in a truthful manner. And it's the truthful way of telling these stories, whether it's film, TV, voice work, theater, whatever it is, as long as you bring truth to it as a performer, that's what the public engage with. I mean, you can surround performers with all sorts of gadgets and guns and swords and CG and cars, but if there isn't the truth of the performance at the heart of it, nothing else really works. So it's always that is, to me, as an audience member, the most important thing is looking at how truthful something is that is being portrayed. So I try and bring that to everything, whether it's voice work or anything else.
Speaking of the physicality, you mentioned Adam Brown, Ori, yesterday here on stage. We had him on this stage.
Did you?
And there was, when the barrel scene was shot,
Yeah.
the fish that were dumped on the dwarves, and
Yes.
especially on Adam, were real. And
Yes,
he
they were.
hates fish, we know that. But I've read another rumor about the barrel escape scene that I just want to ask you firsthand. According to the IMDb, because the barrel escape scene, the shoot took so long, and the actors were all in this body of water in their own respective barrels, that there was no time to really do a toilet interruption. So.
Yeah.
Some people have relieved themselves in the water, which Martin Freeman only found out later and was literally and figuratively pissed.
Yeah. I mean, it was some people, yes, they didn't take toilet breaks, and they just went to the toilet inside their wetsuits, inside the barrels. Dino Gorman being one of them, who played Feely. He was always going to the toilet in his own wetsuit. I didn't, I hasten to add. But the barrel sequence was probably my favorite experience on The Hobbit. We had the whole real river part of it, which was in the South Island, Pelorus River. And we were brought there really to be shown by the stunt department what was going to happen. And then Peter just decided that we were the ones that were going to be doing it, and just led us down to these barrels, stuffed us in, took away the safety rope, and just filmed us basically fighting for our lives to get to the shore. And we did that 5 times. Then we were in an artificial river in an abandoned car factory that was about 150 meters, circular river with 2 V8 engines at either end that would shoot you around incredibly fast. And it was like a fairground ride. And we did that for 2 weeks. And you're right, many people were pissing in their suits and filling the river with urine, which Martin had to float in constantly. I mean, it's not that we didn't want to tell Martin, we just forgot. we just kept forgetting. 2 weeks. You're like, oh yeah, what was the thing we were supposed to tell him? Oh yeah, that we've pissed in the river. Yeah. No, it was, we were always doing that kind of thing to each other, trying to wind each other up. Yeah.
You did star in the 8th season of one of my personal all-time favorite TV shows, 24.
Oh, yeah.
And what I read and what I find funny, because I like to talk about this with actors on stage, I read that Kiefer Sutherland himself has never seen an actual entire episode of the show,
really?
Of any season, and well, he knew them basically. But that's what I asked you. Do you watch your own work? No.
In fact, a lot of actors don't watch their own work. I've seen The Hobbit. I saw it at the premieres. I've seen it with my children. So that's it with The Hobbit. I mean, this is shameful, really, for any Outlander fans. I've only seen the first 2 episodes of season 1 of Outlander. I know, it's just shocking, isn't it? People, you don't watch them because you did them. And also, you only see the mistakes. So it's not a very enjoyable experience watching something that you've been in. You tend to sit there like this, just kind of, oh God, no. Oh no. So I've only seen the first episode of House of the Dragon. I mean, I could go on. I mean, I've really hardly seen anything that I've ever been in, apart from if I go to a premiere. And that's true of most actors, I would say. They don't like watching their own work, so I've avoided it.
But when, for instance, you join the cast of 24 in the 8th season, do you, out of research purposes, watch older seasons, older episodes?
Oh, no, well, I mean, with, excuse me, with 24, I was a huge fan of 24. So I'd seen it. I'd seen all of them. So I was just so thrilled to be in it. In fact, I kept pestering the producer while I was filming, just telling him how much of a fan I was of the show, which got a little embarrassing after a while. He just sort of, yeah, okay, we get it. Yeah, you're a fan of the show. Anyway, we need to film this now. So, yeah, 24 was one that I'd seen a lot of. Same with Prison Break. When I did Prison Break, I'd seen all of that before. So, yeah.
And another thing that I'm always interested in when I talk to actors is we had an actor here on stage who said, every time I get a script, I only read the scripts on my balcony in my hammock with a cup of coffee standing next to me. Do you have a ritual or something that you always do when you read scripts?
No. No, I just read them. No, I don't have a ritual. It's just, I read the script. And a lot of actors only read their own lines. A lot of actors, they won't admit it, but they flick through scripts and just see, where do they speak? Where do we speak? Oh, right, there we speak. Okay. Oh, I'm off then. I mean, the old joke about actors is they all want to work, but the first thing they do when they find out they've got a job is to see when they have days off. It's kind of true. I know a lot of actors like that. So, it's a strange business. But we should ask them to ask some questions.
Yes, exactly.
I want to hear from them.
That was the next thing I was planning on doing, because the audience mic in the aisle is very lonely. So please ask it a question. If someone wants to ask a question to Graham, please.
Come and ask a question. There you go. You look fabulous.
Thank you. Hi. Do you think that Dougal would have liked Brianna? I mean, I know you haven't watched the seasons, though, but...
Would he have liked Brianna?
Yes.
Yeah, it's always a difficult question with Dougal, because he had a bit of a roving eye. You know, it all sorts of, it starts straying into some really dodgy areas of, I mean, it's like when I did season 5 and I met my own son. That was quite strange. You know, I got asked to do that, and I was expected to come back as Dougal. And they said, no, we want you to play your own son. I'm like, well, how are you going to do that? Yeah. And then they gave me the wig. Basically, I went for the fitting for that, and they put the wig on, and my youngest daughter was there with me, and she said, you look so much better with that wig, Dad. I'm like, wow. So, I either always wear a wig now, or she just doesn't like it. No, she was joking. But with Brianna, would he have liked her? Probably. I mean, Dougal was a very loving person. He has a lot of love in him. Just the ones that he doesn't love, he really, really doesn't. But I think, yes, he would have liked her.
Okay, thank you.
Okay.
Someone else?
Please. You must have a question. Don't be shy. I'll answer anything. Go ahead.
Hi. I was wondering, what is your fondest memory from shooting The Hobbit?
My fondest memory, many, many fond memories of The Hobbit. A lot of them actually happened kind of behind the scenes, really. We spent a lot of time together not filming, because the preparation for filming was always so lengthy. We would probably shoot maybe 1.5 minutes of actual usable footage in a day. The rest of the time you were either getting dressed or you were getting undressed, and there was lots of things happening. So you spent a lot of time talking to each other. And one of my fondest memories, I think, was probably coming up with the idea for the real Adam Brown documentary that we shot behind the scenes. So I was sitting next to Adam, and when you're getting made up at 4:30 in the morning, your brain just goes off into really weird areas. And I suddenly thought, wouldn't it be great if in fact Adam was this sort of monster? He was this sort of bullying, drug-taking lunatic. And then that sort of spawned this idea of actually shooting a documentary based on that premise. So we interviewed all the actors. I remember Andy Serkis did a fabulous job of just breaking down crying, talking about how much he was bullied by Adam on set. And Adam, had this sort of sleeveless wife-beater kind of top with, and that kind of stuff. We did a calendar for Peter for his 50th birthday, and I came up with the idea of shooting it like a Sports Illustrated calendar, with the dwarves in their muscle suits, sort of naked in their muscle suits, in various poses that echoed actual film posters. So I think Mark Hadlow, what was Mark? Mark Hadlow was Marilyn Monroe from The 7-Year Itch. I actually cradled a sort of infant version of Ori in my arms. That was I was September. Who was there? There was some other there was Adam's Adam's one was Peter Jackson has the actual car from Chitty Chitty Bang Bang. Yeah, the actual car. He drove us to the airport once in it, playing Chitty Chitty Bang Bang out of the speakers as we're driving along, putting the wings out and all the rest of it. He had it restored. Insane. But Adam's picture was him polishing and cleaning the car, wearing roller skates and hot pants in this sort of muscle suit. And we had to do it all in secret so that Peter wouldn't notice. And we got everybody, we Weta designed the posters and all the rest of it, and we presented it to Peter. And he has it in his bathroom. He has that calendar. And the only other version of that calendar that exists is mine. Yes, I have it. It's very cool.
Can you share the pictures?
No, I can't share the pictures. Oh, no. But they're very funny. Mark, who else was Jed Brophy's was like a still from Dr. No as Ursula Andress, sort of lying on the beach with his legs kicking in the air. And it was absolutely outrageous. The one of Richard was a good one. Richard sitting cross-legged backwards in a chair, so the back of the chair's there, and he's like that, and I am blow drying his hair, so his hair's sort of billowing in the background, and you see Dwalin sort of massive forearm in the front of shot. Yeah, it's great fun.
Have you released the Adam Brown documentary?
It's on the behind the scenes. The Adam Brown documentary is on the behind the scenes of one of the extended versions of the movie. I can't remember which one. And everybody participated in it. It was wonderful. Everyone went along with this idea that Adam was a monster. And we did loads of stuff. We did some rap video with Jed. I don't think that's ever made it. We also did because Stephen Hunter, who plays Bomber, we decided, and listen, you get sometimes, even on a film like The Hobbit, you get a little bored sometimes. And when you get bored, you start doing stupid things. And one of the things we did was I decided that Dwalin was secretly in love with Bomber. That he harbored these sort of real deep feelings for Bomber and just found it very difficult to express them. So we shot a behind-the-scenes scene in Erebor where he's walking towards me, and you know that Stephen doesn't speak in the movie, really. I think he speaks at the very end of the extended version of the third film, but he didn't speak at all, right? So he's walking towards me, And I sort of lean, blocking his way in this arch. And I'm looking at him and I'm like, I like how quiet you are. You're very mysterious. And where do you get your beard braided? Where does that go? I'd like to visit that place. And what are your plans after the journey's over, you know? Where are you going? And he spent the entire time just looking at me in horror. This sort of Dwalin, this sort of pest, who's just following him around Erebor, sort of trying to summon up the courage to say, I love you, Bomba. Other people just don't understand you, but I see through it. You're a beautiful, beautiful dwarf. And they haven't put that. They've got it. They've got the footage. And Michael Pellerin, who did the behind the scenes, has said one day they will put that on an extended version of it. It's probably be the end of my career, but it'll be worth it.
Thank you very much.
Yeah, sure.
Hi.
Hello.
Can you share a funny story from Outlander, from the set?
Funny story from Outlander.
Yeah.
Let me think. Well, gosh. Let me think. Well, Duncan was always the one that was making us laugh a lot of the time. Duncan and I were quite naughty. When we did the wedding scene, which we actually had to reshoot because there weren't enough candles. I mean, there seemed to be a lot of candles, but we went away and they called us in again about 2 weeks later and said, I'm sorry, we need to reshoot that. There just weren't enough candles. So when we returned, you couldn't move for candles. I mean, like, who gets married with that many candles? It was boiling hot. You're like, oh my God. Anyway, we're standing there and they're doing the vows. And Duncan is immediately behind me. And you know, and Jamie's got this ridiculously long name, you know, James Alexander Malcolm Mackenzie Fraser, whatever. So they're doing the vows and he's standing there. And Sam was giving it a lot of sort of gravitas. So it's like, I, Jamie, pause, Malcolm, pause, Mackenzie, pause. And Duncan was filling in the pauses with other names from behind. So all I could hear was Optimus Prime, Tarzan, King Kong. And we didn't get through a take. We just kept having to stop. And Kat and Sam could hear it. And they were laughing as well. And then eventually the director went, no, stop. You've got to stop. Duncan, stop it. And so we finally got through it without laughing. But it was a very fun set. We were constantly trying to make each other laugh, to be honest. I do remember when we were riding away from Castle Lear, and I'm at the front, and the rest of them, and some of the horses were a little sketchy, you know. My horse was fantastic, Lambert, superb. Stephen Walter's horse, not so much. And Stephen wasn't a great horse rider anyway. And I just remember we're doing this big, long shot on a long lens of us riding sort of majestically away from the castle. We're going off on the rent collection, and it's the end of the episode, and there's the camera. And all I can hear behind me is Stephen going, whoa, 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 whoa. And it's just this horse, it's like a rodeo that's happening behind me. And all I thought was, am I in focus? The camera's on me. I'm not going to look around. I mean, he could be being dragged across the field as far as I'm concerned, being trampled to death. And I'm just like, do I look good in this shot? That's the main thing, while Stephen was being brutalized by his horse. So, yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah, sure. Yeah.
Hi. You signed my tartan graduating paper yesterday, so I would like to ask you, maybe you answered it in another interview, but which tartan are you allowed to wear, or which tartan is your family one?
Me personally?
Yeah.
Well, there's the McTavish tartan, which I wear. And then I also wear the MacDonald, which is my mother's side of the family. Then there's the Graham clan, which is my grandmother's clan. So I have that one as well. But, you know, just to clear up any... So I think there's a bit of a kind of misunderstanding about kilts and tartans, that you can only wear them if you're Scottish or you've got a clan. And I think really, you know, anybody should wear a kilt. I would recommend anybody here, any man, to wear a kilt, because you never have a bad day in a kilt. Never. You have a great day. It's always fun. You always, it's instantly, if you walk into a room wearing a kilt, it's an instant conversation opener. And it does the job for you. I mean, you barely need to speak. You just stand there in a kilt. And they're just wonderful things to wear. They're very freeing. They're warm in the winter. They keep you cool in the summer. Yeah, I love kilts. I mean, I'm not wearing one now, which is a bit of a disgrace, really. But I try and wear one as often as I can. I recently got married, and the guys, I encouraged them all to wear kilts. And a lot of them who'd never worn a kilt, you now can't get them to stop wearing a kilt. They're constantly putting them on at any premise at all. They'll just slip on a kilt. So, yeah, I can wear those, and I do wear my family kilt, but I encourage anybody to wear one.
Thank you.
Sure.
Thank you so much. And sadly, that's all we have time for today.
Well, thank you very much for coming.
Austrian Comic Con, give a huge round of applause to the amazing Graham McTavish.
Thank you very much.
Thank you, Graham. Und eines möchte ich noch sagen, bevor ich diese Bühne für dieses Wochenende wieder ganz verlasse und mich aufs nächste Jahr freuen muss. Ich sage Danke an das großartige Publikum von der Austria Comic Con. Einmal ein Riesenapplaus für euch. Und ganz besonders bedanken möchte ich mich bei den fleißigen Helferleins, die da bei der Bühne unterwegs waren und dafür gesorgt haben, dass das hier reibungslos abläuft, an die Technik. Deswegen sage ich mal vielen, vielen Dank und einen riesen Applaus für die gesamte Crew. Und damit räume ich das Feld, wünsche euch viel Spaß beim nächsten Panel bei der Championship of Cosplay und würde mich sehr, sehr freuen, wenn wir uns nächstes Jahr wiedersehen. Ciao!